listening to Breakfast with Stephen and Ellie. Right enough. No, right, Kevin? Right enough.
Right enough.
Right enough.
Right enough you are. I don't know that was Irish. Let's take a look at today's front pages, shall we? Which is dominated by one story and one story alone. The Times says, Truss fights survival as Jeremy Hunt replaces Kwasi Kwarteng as Chancellor.
The Guardian says a day of chaos as Truss performs another U-turn.
The Mail asks, how much more can she and the rest of us take as the Tory chaos continues?
Truss clings to power after axing the Chancellor. There's the Telegraph.
And The Sun pays tribute to actor Robbie Coltrane, known for playing Hagrid in Harry Potter. He's died at the age of 72.
As you know, political editor of HuffPost UK, Kevin Schofield, and author and broadcaster Nikki Hodgson are both here. Good morning.
Morning.
I do have a laugh when you two are in.
Oh, that's really
Well, you're not about hair right enough, you know.
As long as you keep you amused, that's the main thing.
Well, this is it.
You're quite good at that, you know.
Well, it's because I'm from very close to Scotland.
Not far.
What do you think,
well.
Kevin, out of 10?
Right enough, it's not bad.
I'd say 7.
Improvement. Not as good as you think you are.
No, I'm not as good as I think I am. I therefore must apologise to anybody in Scotland.
Who we've offended this
But
morning.
I do it out of love.
Exactly.
I
It's
love
affectionate.
Scotland. It is affectionate. I absolutely love
Gentle
Scotland.
ripping.
Let's have a look at the Times, Kevin. Should we? To the Chancellor, or former Chancellor, I should say.
Oh, yeah.
Very quickly, yeah.
So, yes, it turns out that not only was he sacked, which was brutal enough, but he only found out by reading it on the Times.
No.
Tweeted the Times' excellent political editor, Stephen Swinford, tweeted he was first with the news yesterday to say that Kwasi Kwarteng was going to be sacked.
What did you think he was being brought back from Washington for?
Well, quite. You must have thought it must have been at the back of his mind that something was afoot. But given that the day before he'd said he was going nowhere, 100% absolutely safe as houses. So it says here, I mean, it's really nicely written. It said that he emerged from Heathrow smiling for the cameras before his meeting with Liz Truss. 16 minutes later, he was sitting in his ministerial car on the way back to London when the Times broke the news that he was about to be sacked. So he read it in the back of his car, and then he arrived in Downing Street shortly afternoon, by then cutting a glum figure, unsurprisingly. So yeah, not only did she knife her great political ally, she'd also, somebody in Number 10 had tipped off the Times before he actually knew himself, which is not...
That's
great.
grim.
Oh.
Well, there are reports in some of the papers this morning that Jeremy Hunt was already hired before Kwasi Kwarteng was fired.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. So he was phoned at 9:30 in the morning, and he was on holiday in Belgium with his wife, Jeremy Hunt, and offered the job. It took a couple of minutes to think about it, then accepted. But all this was happening while Kwasi Kwarteng was still in the air.
It's interesting, David Mellor was saying this is all a disaster because Jeremy Hunt has never spent a millisecond in the Treasury.
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? I mean, obviously being a health secretary, being a chancellor, they're very different kinds of skill sets that you need. But I suppose people think, well, we've seen Jeremy Hunt around, so therefore he's a safe pair of hands. But yeah, doesn't mean that you can you can make the numbers work, does
No,
it?
totally. I mean, becoming chancellor in the middle of an economic crisis is hard enough for anyone. But you're right, and having never been in the Treasury before, who's to say that he's got what it takes?
And I hate to say it because I don't like all this tabloidy stuff at times, so sometimes it's quite funny. I've heard Jeremy Hunt referred to previously as a wet lettuce. And now, of course, the Star's got, the wet lettuce for the Prime Minister, all of it is live cam onto the wet lettuce now.
Have you seen this?
Yeah.
Oh, it's all very odd. But so we're going to have 2 wet lettuces at the top?
Yeah, I mean, they would dispute that description.
Well, they would,
obviously.
of course.
But yes, when you're obviously starting on the back foot, aren't you? That you are, once you're a figure of fun as a politician, or anyone really, it's difficult to shake that off. And yeah, I mean, it's very funny actually what the Star are doing. But yeah, Liz Truss, I think it just shows that in the eyes of the public have already made up their minds, I think, about Liz Truss. I just don't see how she can possibly come back from.
Nikki, why do you think Jeremy Hunt took the role then? If there's a lack of experience, well, no experience at all, what would make you want to come in at this stage?
Ego. I mean, isn't that what drives all politicians ultimately at the end of the day? The idea that they can, I mean, it's a better job than the job he had, and he never thought he was going to get another chance maybe, so it's just that. And also thinking that maybe if he thinks the standard of performance in the Tory party is quite low at the top of the minute, then it doesn't really matter if he's that qualified. Surely he's going to kind of look better by default.
Talking about not being qualified for things, The Times is reporting Gary Lineker telling people to come out during the World Cup. Has he got no brains?
This is absolute madness story. So basically, Gary Lineker has decided that he's in a position to encourage any gay players who'll be playing in the World Cup that are not out to come out, specifically in Qatar.
Oh, they're in Qatar.
Which has the death penalty, which apparently it doesn't use, but has the death penalty for homosexuality, which has imprisoned and fined foreign tourists. You know, there's been so much controversy about having the World Cup there anyway because of the gay rights issue. And now he thinks, as a straight man, it's okay to encourage other people that might feel very vulnerable and worried about their careers and their livelihoods to come out. It's so tone deaf.
I mean, it's just terrifying.
Well, it's very easy for him to say.
Well, exactly.
Straight man, yeah, exactly.
It is a strange, and why is he saying that the World Cup should then become politicised? Because then that then becomes the issue, doesn't it? People, it's not, you're not talking about the football anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's the danger. If that's what he's saying, then people speculate about who might be gay, and then that's when you get people chasing for stories and potentially putting vulnerable people at risk.
Yeah.
It's just so ill-considered.
It really is bizarre.
It's irresponsible as well. I mean, this is a nation where, I'm just reading now, same-sex activity is punishable by 7 years in jail or death by stoning for Muslim men under Sharia law. So, I mean, is it the time and place for virtual signalling?
It definitely isn't. It definitely isn't. He's not thinking about the realities of life for gay people at all.
No, he thinks he's getting a decent headline out of it.
And it makes him sound woke or makes him sound like he's being supportive. It's done the absolute opposite.
Yeah. Typical. Well, you know what? It doesn't. Nothing about Gary Lineker surprises me anymore, to be perfectly honest. Now, one thing I always think, Kevin, when and I do think we've got to be careful about fossil fuels and things. I think we need a cleaner planet.
Yeah.
I think we need a planet where we're not going to run out of fuel at some point in 100 years or 200 years or whatever it might be. I'm all for thinking we need to think about things. So I always think to myself, if we need to slow down the use of oil, what better way than tomato soup at a pitch?
Absolutely, it's the first thing that you think of. It's so obvious, really. This obviously is a story about the Just Stop Oil campaigners who thought it would be a good idea to throw a couple of tins of tomato soup over a Van Gogh masterpiece. Now, fortunately, it was behind glass, so the painting itself was undamaged. Apparently, the frame was a little bit damaged, but I just couldn't really get my head round what the significance of it was. And also, I think if you are, as you say, I think pursuing a laudable aim of protecting the planet, you have to be able to take people with you.
Yeah.
So go ahead and do that. I haven't seen anyone, even people who are, would like to see themselves as environmentally friendly, who think that this was a good idea. All you're going to do
Here they go, these people.
Is you're turning people against you, So they don't listen to the good point.
And then they're whipping out the super glue from their bras, so they can then glue themselves to the... Leave them there, I say. Leave them there.
I mean, it's so uncomfortable watching that happen, isn't it? Because it's an act of vandalism.
It's just vandalism.
And I am absolutely on their side. We absolutely need to sort out the issue with fossil fuels, and I completely believe in the right to protest. But it's just, again, just very tone deaf. It's not taking anyone with them.
I tell you what you do though, when you look at those, and where even despite my vitriol, I have a tiniest bit of sympathy. When you look at them, they're children.
Yeah.
They're children. I'd be surprised if either.
I'd
be surprised if either of them had hit 20 yet. And children like that don't have a lot of common sense a lot of the time.
Well, you're idealistic, aren't you? Which is good. And we all
not
go through that phase. It's not a bad thing at all. But yeah, I think maybe in years to come they maybe will look back on it and think it might not have been the best idea.
I mean, why can't they do something like let a flock of parrots off in Parliament, or I don't know, just something that would be spectacular?
Don't give them any ideas now.
No, don't give them any ideas.
It's not something that's I don't know, I've got so many better ideas and stuff they could do.
Do you know what? I would love to sit in one of the meetings though when they come up with these ideas. I mean, who comes up with that?
Let's
go to the National Gallery and throw.
No one would expect. That's the last thing you would expect.
And apparently the soup was because they're saying, with the situation, families can't even afford a tin of soup.
Oh, right.
I thought that was wrong because people
that's
who are poor...
wasting soup.
Well, it's wasting soup. Also, people that are poor don't buy branded soup, so they kind of missed a trick there with that.
No, fair point. Nikki, what's this in the Star about answering trunk calls?
Well, I thought we needed a cute animal story because we haven't had enough fun today, really. Well, maybe we have.
No, we definitely haven't.
It's a very, very sweet story. So there's obviously a terrible drought in East Africa at the minute, which is affecting thousands of people, but lots of elephants are being abandoned by their families and their mothers, lots of babies, because of the drought. It's really discombobulating the groups of elephants. So this is just the keepers are taking care of the elephants, the baby elephants. There's a cute picture of one of them loading up the enriched milk for the babies, and then one with his arm through the cage, so you can see the little babies like having a moment with them. So it's just
Chuck it here, because for some
nice...
reason, unknown to God or man, we haven't uploaded this picture.
If you just want to see something heartwarming.
Considering this is a picture story, we really should have. But look at
I hope you.
I love how hairy baby elephants are too.
look at that.
Aww. Lovely, great.
There's just something about elephants, because obviously they're so powerful, but they're also so gentle and intelligent creatures.
Very intelligent, and it breaks your heart when you see the images of people killing them for the ivory. It's horrible, but yeah, they are beautiful, as you say, huge, beautiful, gentle creatures, and very intelligent.
Yeah. We've got time for a bit more. Kevin, a job in a vineyard. I wouldn't trust you in a vineyard. It's got to be perfectly honest. I wouldn't hire you in a month or so.
And you're probably quite right.
Yeah.
So this is a fascinating story that increasing numbers of people edging towards retirement age are quitting the rat race and taking up jobs in vineyards, picking grapes. So it's a lovely little feature of Rathfinney Wine Estate in East Sussex, which has got lots of, I don't want to say elderly, but older people, like former civil servants.
What sort of age are we talking?
Well, David McMaster, 66, from Brighton, gave up his online business to join the harvest and has not looked back in 2019.
You haven't looked up again and be bending over.
Well, it's interesting. These are elderly friendly because the grapes are up high, so you don't have to actually bend down to pick them. Helen Thomas from Charleston said she left her bookkeeping job to tend the vines because she was an outside person. She'd worked in an office for 19 years and thought it was time for a change. And another guy's a former civil servant, loves the outdoors, and they're raving about it, and they get free wine.
Do they?
That's a good thing.
Sign me up.
And they absolutely love it. So
can't be much money in it. So it's the people who can afford to give up, really.
Well, that's
not going to be a lot.
This is you've already made money. Your pension pot's pretty healthy, I guess, and you just don't need the hassle of office work. So why not just?
It's just a few months a year of doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it does sound quite idyllic.
It sounds like if the weather's nice, you know what?
If the weather's nice.
Yeah. If you like the outdoors and you like wine, though.
Yeah, for
Good
free
job.
wine.
It's all right, isn't it?
I'm there.
Get a
I'd
couple
do
of
it.
bottles at the end of every shift.
Just get paid in wine.
Yeah.
Quite nice.
Snack on the way. Nibble on some grapes.
There we go.
Getting really into it.
Drink it on the way home.
Drink it on the way.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's a dream job for most people. Kevin, Nikki, we're out of time. I would say it's been a joy, but you know. It's
I know.
And I'm sorry, can I just say, ladies and gents, Nikki did say, because I said to Nikki this morning, you're wearing that dress last time I saw you. She said, well, it's because I can't, nothing fits me because I'm pregnant. And I was like, thank heavens you said you were pregnant. Because you know that awful dilemma you get
I
in.
know.
But last time you were in, I was thinking, ooh.
Is that a bump?
Either she's got a bump or she's put a bit of weight on. I bet I hadn't say anything.
Yeah, well, it's so funny that you said it, because obviously when you do TV, you're like, oh, I need to wear something different. I can't wear what I wore last time. But I'm at the stage where I'm like, nothing fits. I'm really out of outfits.
Oh, you look great. You
It's
look great.
lovely.
Oh, thank
But
you.
Congratulations.
I am so relieved you told me. Because I think, oh, she's eating more pie.
Well, I am doing that as well, to be fair.
No,
Like,
fair enough. But you're eating for two, maybe three. I don't know.
yeah, it's just one.
Just the one.
Just the one.
Apparently, yeah.
Oh well, you never know.
Oh,
You never know.
Well, it's lovely news, and we need some of that at the moment. So
We do,
congratulations.
We do.
Well done.
There you
Got yourself
go.
through it.
Isn't that an awful dilemma though when you do? Because I know people who have said that to people. Oh well, when are you due? Congratulations, and they've not been.
Oh no.
I have known people who do that. It's awful, isn't it?
I've done that once actually on the tube. I offered someone a seat. Well, that's not very good. But I was trying to be a good person, and it backfired.
It did
Spectacular.
backfire.
And then you just sort of stand there awkwardly looking at each other. It's great.
yeah.
Well, that's why you need those baby on board badges.
You do.
Oh.
Have you got one of those yet?
That's all.
No, mine hasn't arrived yet. So I
you've
just sat there
ordered
going, sticking it out.
Sticking it out, yeah.
Give me a seat.
I don't ask anyone now. I don't ask.